Hey, this is Bruce Boudreau, and you're listening to Empty Betters with Nick, Mack, and Harrison.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 192 of Empty Betters. I am your host, Harrison Scholes. I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Nick Manella. What's going on, my friend?
Not too much, boys. Fighting a little bit of a sinus infection here, as you can probably hear my voice, but the show must go on, so we're going to power through because we have a jam-packed episode for you all today.
'Tis the season, my friend, for under the weather and shitty weather, might I add.
Indeed.
Yeah, we got a jam-packed episode coming up here. Lots to talk about, a little bit of drama around the league. But before we get to all that, I'm going to toss it across the screen to my other co-host, Mac Vogel. What's going on, buddy?
How we doing? As you said, a little bit of drama around the NHL, but that's what we're here for. Love to discuss all that. Just ready for another jam-packed episode of Empty Butters.
Empty Butters. I'm all about that one. That should be our Wisconsin name, if you want my opinion.
Well, yeah, put that on your bread and butter it or something.
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, before we get to all the good stuff, we do have an interview on tap today. We were lucky enough to be joined by Miss Emily Rickwood. She currently plays overseas in Sweden. Nick and I got to talk to her about 5 or 6 days ago, so recorded a little bit last week. We appreciate her joining. Go follow her on TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. She's got some great content over there. We're going to do that interview first, and then we will do all the league news, discussions, etc. afterwards. But we're not going to pitter patter anymore. We're going to toss it off to our interview with Emily right now.
And it's now my pleasure to welcome to the Empty Betters podcast, Miss Emily Rickwood. Emily, thank you so much for taking the time to join us all the way from Sweden today.
Yes, thank you for having me on. I'm very excited.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it as well. So like everyone else, we got to hit you with the most important question. How did you first get involved in hockey? Who started this, what has become, I would assume, an obsession for you? Who got you into the game? What are your first memories of it?
So I actually wasn't intending to play hockey. I was a competitive dancer, but my brother was in a learn to skate program and he absolutely hated it. So my parents were like, "Oh, do you want to go out and try it? You might as well. We paid for it and he doesn't want to do it." So I was like, "Oh, sure." And I went out and I just fell in love with it. And then I started playing, but I have a big hockey family. So my dad played growing up and everything. So it started at a very young age, but we were all involved.
So born in Ontario, who was your team or your player growing up that you gravitated towards?
I would say Wayne Gretzky. He grew up 2 streets over from me. We went to the same elementary school, and I went when his dad Walter, he still lived there, and we went to his basement. We got to see all of Wayne Gretzky's stuff. So he was the big idol in my town. So
it's a pretty good one. I don't think we've ever had someone who lived as close to Wayne Gretzky on the show before. So that has to be incredible.
Yeah, it was awesome. And Walter was amazing. He would welcome pretty much anybody into his home and show them all of his jerseys and sticks and trophies. And it was unreal.
I would imagine somewhere everywhere in Brantford, there's something Wayne Gretzky related, whether it's a restaurant or maybe even the bank. I don't know.
Yeah, we got the Wayne Gretzky Sports Center. That's the rink in Brantford. And then we got Walter Gretzky. That's our big fire station dedicated to him once he passed away. So yeah, a lot of Gretzky in Brantford.
That's amazing. Growing up, was that Leafs territory, I would assume? So is everyone around there Leafs crazy?
Yeah, my family was Pittsburgh to start with, but now they've kind of transitioned to the Leafs since they got all the young players. Now they're more fun to watch, I would say.
There we go.
Yeah.
You might see Nick kind of frown there. He's a Caps fan, but I'm a diehard Pens fan, so I maybe smiled a little bit there when you said that. But no, that's cool. So growing up, you just kind of gave us your hockey intro story. I'm curious, like, how it might differ between Canada and the States. Growing up, did you have like all girls leagues, or was there like a mix between boys and girls, and then there was a certain age limit where it all goes to girls? I'm just interested.
So for where I'm from, it is a pretty small town compared to like Toronto and Oakville and all the bigger cities. But we did have a girls program growing up, but it was always kind of like on the weaker end of the leagues. So I actually started playing with the boys, and I played AAA with the boys up until body checking started, which I believe at the time was like 12 or 13. And then I made the switch to girls hockey, but I played like 2 years up. So I like kind of just played up until junior hockey. And then I went to the Oakville Hornets, which is a bigger city. So there was more people there. And that was like the big junior league for women's hockey at the time.
What was the jump to college like, and what did what decision process went into you choosing New Hampshire?
I think it was all very new to me. When I started playing hockey, I didn't even know that it was a possibility to like go to the States on a scholarship. Like I just saw that in movies and I was like, oh wow. So when it all happened, I was just like overwhelmed. I think I was 15 at the time. So I like my mom made me make a pros and cons list and like write down everything that was important to me, which now I'm thankful for because I didn't even think about it. But like, did I want hockey to be the main sport? Did I want to go to a big school or small school or medium, like location, all that kind of stuff. So New Hampshire seemed like the perfect fit for me because I did want to go to a school that hockey was the main sport, and it was a medium-sized school, and it was far away from home. But at the time I was like, oh, that's awesome. The farther, the better. So and it had the Olympic size ice, which I loved. I like to skate with the puck. So that was like, they have a beautiful rink. So that was like one of the main things. And they actually ended up having the exact program that I wanted to do. So I was very thankful it all worked out well.
Sure. What program was that?
Health and physical education.
Very
So
cool.
that's the only school that had like specifically for like phys ed, like teaching. So it worked out well. And then I ended up getting my master's too, which allowed me to not have to do teachers college back home in Canada. So it all worked out very well.
That's amazing. What was the experience with that team like at at New Hampshire?
We had our ups and downs for sure, but I think it's an unreal experience to see like you go from a freshman to me a fifth year, and you just see the new freshmen come in every year, and you can look back and be like, oh, I remember when I would do that, or imagine being a freshman again. And I think it's just cool to see like how everybody grows and changes throughout those years, especially the girls that you come in with your first year.
Was there any like big difference, like whether it be like culturally or just like the game itself between, growing up in Ontario and then moving to New Hampshire? Like, was there any like Canada versus US like differences where you're like, oh, that's a little weird, or maybe I like how this is different instead of back home?
Nothing too major. I think my roommate freshman year was from America. So we would always get into like, oh, we call that this and you call that this, that kind of thing. And then like, I guess Celsius and Fahrenheit, like I still could not wrap my head around. I still don't know like the conversion, but I wouldn't say anything too major. She also was a big football fan. So that was probably the biggest thing now that I think about it. Like the football Sundays was like, I remember when the Pats won the Super Bowl my freshman year, and the whole main street of our campus, like everybody just ran down there after they won, and like people were climbing trees, and I was like, what is going on? Like football is not even really a thing back home, and like that's everybody's Sunday.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, cities completely shut down on Sunday. I like don't make plans on Sunday just so I can be on the couch watching it all day. So I'm sure that was an eye-opening experience, especially with it being Patriots fans, because we all know how that can be.
Yeah, it was crazy, but it was like cool to experience.
I guess I should ask this earlier. I'm kind of jumping back here a little bit, but notice that you're a defenseman. What's like the origin story of why defense? I feel like we like to ask that question to people who basically don't play offense.
Yeah, I remember my dad telling me I just like would always want to skate backwards. So that was like the big thing that put me into being a defenseman to start. But then as I kind of got like a little bit older, I realized that like I like to see the entire ice, and like I like to be the last one back so I can like make sure, like that was kind of my mindset. Like I can be the last one. Like when I played soccer, I was like the sweeper, which was the last man back. So like I just like to be able to see the whole play and be like, okay, if worst comes to worst, like I'm back here.
And what about the Canada U18 experience? That must have been pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. That was in Russia. So I probably would have never gone to Russia if it wasn't for that. But to see like a whole nother culture and experience the like language barrier and do that all with like a team was really awesome.
Was that in Moscow?
It was in Dimitrov, but we did
Okay.
go to Moscow. We had like a day off, so we went there for a day trip with all of our parents, and it was so cool.
That has to be an amazing experience. I'm sure that's one that you've got a lot of good memories from.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
what is
oh,
what
go
is
ahead,
like
Harry.
I was just gonna say, like, what is like Russian food like? I guess I would love to hear. Like, is it just soup? In my head I hear like I'm imagining like just potatoes and soup, and that's like it.
Yeah, it was a lot like I guess all of Europe because I'm experiencing it kind of now in Sweden too, but it's like a lot of meat and bread and cheese. So like I don't know who I was talking to about it, but it was recently I was saying how like there's no warm breakfast here. Like you can't go and get eggs. Like when I first moved here and I didn't have any groceries and I was like, "Oh, I'll just get like a breakfast sandwich kind of thing." Like there's nothing like that. It's like they have like these circular breads and they put like butter, cheese and meat and that's their breakfast. And I was like, "Whoa." So that's what it was in Russia a lot of too. Like it was sandwiches for breakfast.
So how did the whole transition to Sweden come about? What was the decision process for that like? I'm sure that was similar to the college one where you probably had to do the pros and cons thing again, right?
Yeah, so I was actually signed in the PHF back home
Right.
for Montreal, but then when that all happened, I like found out that this new league was going to be starting so late. So I had to weigh out like my chances of making it. I'm like, do I want to wait and possibly risk it, or do I want to just make sure I have a spot? And like, because I was finally excited to be kind of close to home. So I was like, okay, now I'm going to move to a whole nother continent. But I think at the end of the day, I was like, I want to make sure I have a season. And I don't think coming here is something I would have done on my own because it was a little out of my comfort zone. So I'm glad I had something to push me to do that. But I think it just came down to I want to make sure I have a season. So I'm going to go over there and get a year of professional under my belt.
How are you liking it so far?
I really like it. I love the people here are so nice. And the only thing that's a little challenging is the time change with like communicating with friends and family back home and the daylight. There's like 4 hours of daylight. So it's dark all the time, which I was not prepared for. Like when I'm going to the rink for practice, it's pitch black and it's like it feels like the day's already over.
So how do you like adjust to that? Is it like a lot more time spent inside with the lights on to kind of like trick yourself into being awake? Because I feel like I would just fall asleep nonstop if that happened to me.
Yeah, I've been sleeping like 11 hours a night and I don't normally do that, but it's just like so dark that my body always thinks it's night. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is like we got these things called happy lights. So they're like it makes your body think it's the sun. So we just have those plugged in 24/7. And then lots of vitamin D because I didn't realize how much like that affects you. But as soon as I started taking those like vitamins, I felt so much better.
That's good. How's
Yeah.
the travel for that league? I know you mentioned, it was a new league starting up. What's that been like?
It's hard. I would say I'm used to Hockey East, which like the farthest we go is 3.5 hours to Maine.
Mhm.
And so here we have like the two other Stockholm teams, and then we like it's like an 8-hour bus ride to Gothenburg. And this weekend we're actually flying up north to play the two teams up north, but it would be like a 12-hour bus ride up there. So yeah, we got to fly. We fly there and then we play and then we like switch a bus with the other Stockholm team. And then we play the other team up north and then we drive home on the Sunday. So we don't get home till like 4 a.m.
Wow.
So it's an adjustment for me because I'm not used to that.
Is Avicii Arenas in Stockholm, right?
Yeah,
So
that's right. Yes.
that was the global series, what, like 2 or 3 weeks ago? What was there like
Yeah.
a big buzz around the city?
Yeah, it was like people were wearing jerseys all up and down the streets, like at any time of the day. It was awesome to see. Like people were so excited for that.
And the Leafs were in town. Did you by chance get to catch any action or not really?
Not of the Leafs because we had games when they were playing, but I did go and see the Minnesota Ottawa game and the Ottawa Detroit game. So that was cool.
That was a fun one too.
Yeah.
That one was
They
wild.
both, I'm pretty sure they both went to overtime. And then I think the one went to shootout. But yeah, they were both great games.
Is that I think that was the one where
Yeah.
Stützle like batted it out of the
Yeah.
air. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, that's
That's
really cool you
insane.
got to see that.
Yeah.
It was a blast for us because we're like, oh my God, 2 p.m. hockey on a weekday. This is incredible.
Yeah.
You mentioned being a puck moving defenseman, love seeing the ice, loves the bigger ice. So how is that over there affected your game? Is that just like, a duck to water at that point?
Yeah. So all the rinks here are Olympic size. So it's awesome. I love having more space to skate with it. And I think I'm kind of used to it because of UNH. So it wasn't too much of an adjustment.
Nice. I've always, I always think it's funny. Like I'll go from watching World Juniors or World Championships and then going back to watching NHL or college games. I'm like, oh my God, where did the space go? There's nowhere to move.
I know I think at UNH my last year too, they took in the ice a little bit. I don't think it's like NHL size, but it's bigger. It's smaller than the Olympic size. And even going to that, I was like, oh my goodness, this feels so different.
Is there like any difference in like the style of play that you've noticed over there? I know sometimes there's always like this, oh, well, the Swedes always play really smart and, the Americans are kind of known to be like rough and tough. Is there any like play style difference that you've had to adjust to since going over there?
I think what I've noticed is it's more like controlling the puck, if that makes sense. Like it's not just like dump and change. Like if there's not an entrance, like people will circle back and go all the way back to their end and come back out, which I like. I don't like the dump and change play. So it's nice that like people want to make plays and not just like play kind of like bubble hockey back and forth. But that's the biggest thing that I've noticed.
How's the locker room vibe for that team? Are you like the DJ or anything? What's the room sort of like for you guys?
Yeah, I'm sometimes on the DJ. It depends, but I think I'm one of the older girls on the team. We do have a really young team, so I think like a lot of them look up to like the 5 or 6 of us who like can speak English very well and like can like speak to the whole team. So I think there's like 4 or 5 of us that like speak up in the room and kind of talk in between periods and like will help with like translating and everything. So
What's your future plans? I mean, I know you said that you kind of not maybe necessarily got forced to Sweden, but there was something that went into making your decision. We're like, okay, I think this works for me. Do you think you'll stay? You think you'll come back? Like, what's your future with hockey, you think?
my goal is eventually to come back to North America, like as soon as possible. But I think like with my situation right now, I'm assuming I'm probably going to have to play another year here and then hopefully come back. But if I can get back next year, then that's great to be close to friends and family. But if not, then it's been awesome here. So hopefully after another year, I could go back.
Has like any of your friends or family been able to come over there to watch you play at all, or no, just because of how crazy travel is right now?
So my parents are actually coming at the end of December because my brother goes to Clarkson University. He plays hockey there too. So he has to be back on Christmas Day. So we have like a short break at Christmas and they're actually able to come out for like a good chunk of that. I think they're coming out like the 27th. So that'll be good for them. And they get to see 1 or 2 games. So
oh, that'll be great.
Yeah.
I'm just interested to hear your point of view. Obviously, you've played at a high level and a huge passion of yours, but like what's your I guess take on where women's hockey is at right now? I mean, I know it's been on the up and up and they're got a lot of good things in progress, but is there anything that you think should be added or something you would change? Like what's your whole take on it?
I think it's obviously making great steps forward. I think like moving forward, I would say like having almost like a developmental league, maybe like the AHL to the NHL. Like I feel like that would be good for just because there's going to be so many players coming out of college now and so many players who came to Europe this year with the whole PHF. Because I think they said there was like 300 people who were signed in the PHF and only like 80 went to the new league. So all those players, if they're hoping to continue to play again, like it would be good to have somewhere to go, even if it is just like a developmental league. But I think like I saw Toronto already sold out all their season tickets. So I definitely think it's on its way to be something good. So
How do you like to spend your time away from the rink? Are you like a TV person, movie person, music person? What do you do with your free time?
I watch a lot of TV. We practice at night, so we have like pretty much the whole day. So it is a lot of TV, but if we have time, then like today we had morning practice. So like we're gonna go to Stockholm after this, and they have like all the lights and the Christmas market set up. So we do like to get out and try new restaurants and like go walk around Stockholm and stuff when we can.
Nice. I think one of the things that we've seen explode sort of in the last 5 years, obviously with TikTok being what it is this abundance of hockey content. You know, ourselves, we're attempting to be involved in that. You're doing an excellent job with that. Where did that all sort of come from? Was that something you always wanted to do, or was that something you just naturally fell into?
I think, I don't know. I feel like a part of me always like enjoys being in front of the camera, but I think during COVID, my roommate and I, we were like working at the rink, and we were working like 4 to 8, 2 or 3 times a week. And we were just like pretty much sitting because there was no fans. So there was nothing to really clean up. And we were like, why don't we just start like making videos as a joke? And so we made a video, and we had like our helmets on, and we were just like talking like to us like along with the sound. And somebody commented and was like, oh, why are you wearing your boyfriend's equipment? And we were like, okay. So we like replied to that comment with like all of our stuff on. And like that video just took off and hit like over 100,000 views. And then like we just were like, oh, this is fun. Okay. Like we just kept going and replying to comments because we didn't really know what to do. And then we got up to like 10,000, and then we just kind of kept going from there. And we were like, oh, now we can go live on TikTok and we can do all this stuff. But I just think it's fun, and I like to see the people commenting. And I think the thing that really kept me doing it, because obviously like my roommate, she transferred and everything, so we went our separate ways, but I would have like young girls messaging me on Instagram and stuff being like, oh, like I look up to you, like thank you so much for sharing this, like, or I want to get into hockey, what do you think, or what's your advice for this? And I was like, oh, if I can actually help like the younger girls in that generation, like that would be amazing. Because like I said, when I was first talking to schools, I was like, whoa, like what is this? So it's just nice to see the younger generation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great. You know, like you said, like if one person just sees that and goes, I'd love to try that, or hey, this looks cool. I mean, that person could end up being, you know, on Team USA or Team Canada or Team Sweden down the road.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there any like specific like content creators that like you kind of aspire to, like, you know, maybe like a style of video that you like from them and then you try to mimic that, or like anyone who just kind of like you find entertaining?
I don't know. I like watching the hockey guys. They always have fun videos, like, because there's so many of them. So that's eventually that would be fun. I think if there was like a bunch of like women who made TikToks and stuff that we could like come together and do some funny videos. Cause I think that's what the people like to see. So those ones I always like enjoy watching, but I think I just try and like see what the trends are and like try and put a hockey spin on it. Cause sometimes I would like make random videos and they would get no views. So the only videos that get views are when it's like about hockey or like when I'm talking about something. So that's what I try and kind of steer towards.
So how is the season for you guys going so far as a whole?
Not too good. We had a lot of we had a coaching change. We had like a bunch of stuff because we are a very young team.
Right.
And I think now we have like 6 injuries. We had 4 girls quit. So we're running on fumes right now. So it has been tough, but I think, I mean, I get to play like probably it'll be around 40 games and get to like come and play professionally in Sweden. And like it's still developing, playing against all these other teams. So although it's not going exactly how we would want it to be, it's still a good experience, I would say.
And is the roster a pretty good mix of North American and European players?
We only have 2 North Americans.
Okay.
We have a third, but she ended up leaving and now she's in the PWHL as well. But and then other than that, it's all Europeans, but we do have like a good variety. We had a girl from Austria, but she just left us. We have like Hungary, Czech, we got like a bunch. So it's pretty cool to see. We have 4 girls from Japan.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
always, yeah, it's always cool to see like there's just so many cultural differences, and we're like, oh, let's try this food, or like everybody brings snacks if they go home, like their country's main snack and stuff. So
That's really cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think. Oh no, you go Nick. Sorry.
If you had to pick one thing about Sweden that has been like your favorite so far, whether it's just like the culture, the atmosphere, the people, what would you say it is?
I would say like the atmosphere, because we went to a soccer game, which was like it was crazy. And like the global series games again were like crazy. Even our men's team, like they sold out the arena last weekend, and like they cheer and sing the entire game. I don't know how they do it, but like they got the flags going. They have like chants that get the whole rink going. Like it's just so cool to see.
And that club has been around for like 100+ years, if I'm not mistaken. I know it's AIK. I looked up the full name.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and say the full
Yeah,
name.
I don't even know how to say it.
There's like 45 letters in there,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's huge. I mean, the crowds over there are incredible. I know you mentioned the soccer games; those are insane. So I always love seeing that when they do the global series over there.
Yeah, it was really cool. And we also, my roommate and I went to a Luke Combs concert, and like it was so cheap because I guess not a lot of people here listen to country music, but
Yeah.
like $60, and we were like right in the front, and like
That's awesome.
it was so cool. So that's like another thing, is we've got to do so many different things here.
Luke Combs came to Sweden.
Yeah, I know.
might-
It was his first time ever.
That's one that I can't wrap my head around. That's
I
weird.
know.
Yeah.
That's why the tickets were so cheap, probably. But
Yeah, for sure. Well, my last question to you, it's a little bit of a less serious one, but you know, we've talked a little bit about like Swedish culture, food, whatever. Have you had a chance to try the Swedish meatballs? And if so, do they live up to the hype?
I have not, because I actually don't eat red meat, but I've had the turkey version, and
Okay.
those are very good.
Okay.
But biggest like Swedish thing that I think I've had, they have this like black licorice candy that's like just pretty much dipped directly into salt. And they love it. It's like their favorite thing, but it just tastes like eating a spoonful of salt to me. And like,
Yeah, that doesn't sound very appetizing at all.
no,
Yeah.
not at all. They made us all try it, and they like recorded all of us, and I was like, no, never again. They know.
Are you keeping up with anything going on in the NHL? Are you guys able to watch those games at all, or not really?
Not too much, just because like for when it's 7 p.m. here, it's like 1 a.m. or 1 or 2 a.m. our time. So it's hard to watch any games really, which sucks, because I also like to watch my brother's games and everything. But that's the part that sucks about the time change.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. If you had to pick right now, last question, best player in the world, who would it be?
Ooh, I don't know. I would say, I don't know about best, but I really enjoy watching Cale Makar play. Like I got to see him when he was at UMass, like live when they were playing UNH, and like his style of play, like that's what the kind of player that I want to be. Like he's just such a smooth skater and so patient with the puck. So I would say like overall, he's probably one of the best that I think.
Hard to argue with that. I mean, he is incredible to watch.
Yeah.
Is there like a consensus women's player, would you say, or not really?
I think Sarah Fillier, she's still in college right now, but I played with her in Oakville. I played with her on the U18 Team Canada team, but like she plays like no one I've ever seen before. Like she can shoot the puck harder than anyone I've seen. Like she's just so fast. I don't know how she does it, but I would say like she's the next, like I bet she'll be the world's best player for women.
Wow.
We'll definitely have to keep an eye on that. But
Yeah.
we appreciate you joining us. I know there's a big time change, so thanks for being accommodating. And good luck the rest of the season. Sounds like a good experience for you. A big thanks to Emily for joining us. That was a fun interview. Nick, I know you ended up setting that one up. That turned out great.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That is the second interview guest we've had from Sweden, and it's gone flawlessly both times. So hopefully that'll be a sign of more things to come. And just another huge thanks to Emily for taking the time to chat with us. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, good job with that one, fellas. Sorry I missed it, but that was a great interview.
All good.
The Swedish meatball internet over there kicked my Wi-Fi's ass that day. That's all I know. But nonetheless, I digress. Let's get into the league news, but before we do, I think Mac has a word from our sponsor, Elwood's.
I sure as heck do. Don't forget to support your local dive bar and have a beer at Elwood's Liquor and Tap, home of the Pizza Luge, located in the heart of downtown Milwaukee on Water Street. This 70s inspired bar has a little something for everyone, from daily happy hour, rotating taps, free birthday perks, a 4-season patio, and a big poster of us three numbskulls. A good time is always around the corner. With the NHL package plus TV screens, indoors and out, hockey fans can watch any game, anytime. Don't leave your pups at home. They're also a dog-friendly bar. Guys, we will see you down at Elwood's Liquor and Tap.
Absolutely. All right, fellas, this is going to be probably the longest segment of the episode. I know a lot of people are asking me and you two about this topic, as it pretty much just came over that this is probably going to go down. The Washington Capitals are going to be moving from Washington, D.C. to Arlington, Virginia in the year 2028, as multiple reports have now surfaced on Twitter with this. I don't think it's final set in stone yet, but it sounds like it's definitely heading that direction. I want some immediate thoughts on the situation and what your guys' thoughts are on this.
Nope, don't like it. That was my immediate thought. I don't like this for a myriad of reasons, but business is business. This is a business. It's not a funtivity that we're always constantly reminded of. So if this is what the franchise needs to do to stay here and stay afloat, then there's not really much else I can say about it.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point for sure. It's definitely important to keep that in mind, that this isn't just some game for a lot of them like it is to us. They've got a business to run, and business decisions will be made as they've been made in the past. I mean, this is a team that moved from Maryland to where they're at now, so it's not the first time something like this is happening. However, there's a lot of layers to this, so I'm going to try to, as concisely as I can, unpack some of them for you guys that may not be as familiar with the situation. Let's see, where do I want to start here? So obviously, gut reaction, it feels bad. We don't want the Washington Capitals to not play in Washington, D.C. For the fan base sake. I think they've done a lot to grow the game in that area over the last several decades. Especially in the Ovechkin era. I think what comes to mind first, especially being a youth hockey player in Baltimore all of my young life, you got to think about places like Fort DuPont and some of the rougher areas in DC that they have really done a great job of kind of extending a hand out to. I mean, they've literally had guys go down to practices for the Nova, what is it, the Ice Dogs? Harry, help me out.
Yep.
And really kind of show that they care about that part of the community too. And I think that's awesome. I can't help but feel like that shit is just going to fall by the wayside, because kids that live in that area, I'm willing to bet, not making the trek to Alexandria, Virginia. I know it's, or what? Arlington. Alexandria? Arlington. I always get those two confused, but
Alexandria.
Oh, okay. I was like, don't confuse the poor
God
kid.
damn
Jesus.
it. All right. Anyway, here's another thing that's important to keep in mind. They're only moving like 5 miles away if this goes through. So I also saw a lot of people commenting on like Puck Empire, and there's probably a lot of people that have never even like been to the East Coast. So I get it if you don't really like, you see like, holy shit, they're moving to like Virginia. That's weird. Are they going to be like the Virginia Capitals or whatever? Like you gotta keep in mind they're literally moving like 5 miles away. So it's not like that big of a difference, but it's more just like the principle for me. I don't know. Like I said, I really hope that this doesn't cause like all of those types of fans that I was just talking about to kind of fall by the wayside, but I can't really see a scenario where it does. It's hard to fathom this, but I feel like this move literally just makes the Capitals fan base that much richer and that much whiter, which is like already, like I said, hard to fathom, but that's kind of what I foresee. Also, from a transportation like standpoint, I'm sure Nick, you'll agree with me on this one. It's one of the easiest, like most accessible arenas probably in the whole league as it stands right now. They literally have a metro station like underneath the, like you come up from the metro station and you are just at the arena. You don't have to walk a block. You don't even have to walk like half a block. The entrance is right there to the arena. And I know that you'll still probably be able to get some sort of train or Metro pretty close to the arena, but it's not going to be the same. And the last thing that I'll say about it, and this is something I've really been putting a lot of thought into. I read an article that kind of compared this to the Atlanta Braves and what they've done in the city of Atlanta, which it's not a perfect comparison for a few reasons, but bear with me for a second here. So Atlanta Braves, their stadium is like off a highway exit essentially. And this article I was reading, I think it was a Washington Post column, it compared this to like an eyedropper that just puts a big like drop of like an Insta city in this like weird area that should be like suburban essentially, like probably like 10 miles outside of like downtown Atlanta or whatever. And, you know, they build all these like restaurants and stuff to like make it like a city, but it has no character. It has no history. It has none of that. And to say that's exactly like that in Arlington, Virginia, would be wrong, because Arlington does have like an up and coming like city atmosphere, and there's some history there. It's not like a total fucking like cookie cutter like Pulte home suburb, but it has nowhere near the amount of like history and character as like downtown Chinatown, District of Columbia, where the Capitals currently play. So I don't know. That's kind of a mishmash kitchen sink of some of my initial thoughts about this. I'm not very enthused about it. Do I think it'll make the team and the franchise more successful in the long run? Good chance it does, I think. But just from a fan perspective, there's a lot I think to dislike about this.
I think it's surprising for a multitude of reasons. First and foremost is how much that building that they're currently in now has changed since we started going there as kids. I mean, I started going there in the late 90s, early 2000s with my dad, and it was the MCI Center back then. The scoreboard was tiny as hell. It was purple. The seats were purple. I mean, it's a night and day difference now. Now, like, I mean, we were at the game, we all went to recently. We're walking around. There's self-serve beer kiosks. Like it is state of the art. There's a brand new sports book in there. That's surprising, certainly. I totally get where you're coming from when you're talking about this, creating this little, sports and music venue, little pocket somewhere in Nova where, you'll probably have like, a coffee shop, 2 different sports bars, an outdoor amphitheater that seats anywhere between 5,000 and 3,000 people for the Goo Goo Dolls to play at twice a summer or something like that.
Nice.
Like that's all fine. And that sounds great, but I live like 20 minutes away from one of those now, and I still don't go to it.
Right. No, that's
so,
a great point.
And I think another great point you made is the transportation aspect. Like, boys, when we went to that hockey game and we left from my house, how long did it take us door to door to get to that arena?
Under an hour,
like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe if the train's running slow. So, I mean, personally, that adds like probably an hour to me each way. So I mean, I know that's just me personally. It's obviously going to be closer for some other people. That's fine. It sucks. And like, there's so much to love about the building that they're currently in. And yes, I know this is just sentimentality kicking in, but I don't want Ovi's statue to be out front of some brand new building. I want it to be, like you said, you come off the metro, you come up those steps, you turn left, and boom, right in the middle of the main frickin' entryway. That's where I want that statue to be.
Yeah. And I think another thing I'll say real quick, and then Harry, I'll let you say if you have any thoughts on this, but I think like that Capital One Arena, it's not going to just go away. Like it's still going to be there, at least for now. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, but I think Ted might own that building.
He does.
So like, that's another weird thing, because
or
it's
MSE does or something.
Right. Something like that. Because think about it. If the Caps and the Wizards are not playing there, sure, there's going to be concerts, but you can't, that's like 82 times 2. Somebody math that for me.
164.
It's 164 more days of shit that you have to figure out what the fuck is going on at Capital One Arena that night. Like, it's just going to be some bullshit. Like, they can't fill it with that 182 more concerts or monster truck rallies or WWE or whatever the fuck. I mean, that's just another like weird thing. And like, what do you think that's going to do to like that area too? It's just like,
Oh, it's
I
going
feel
to
like
completely ruin every business within a block
yeah,
radius of
it's
that
just
place.
gonna that whole area that they've done so much to like build up and make cool and make fun and make like an actual like lively like jumping part of DC is just gonna sink back into the fucking abyss and turn to shit. So that's also sad.
Last thing I'll say before I let Harry go here is you talked about transportation. Gallery Place Metro stop is directly underneath, if not adjacent to
Yep.
Cap One Arena. There's also, with how congested that portion of DC is, if you just walk a block or 2 blocks in any direction, you will find like 8 other Metro stops. I have a feeling that what they're going to be building and doing now is very similar to what Ravens fans or Orioles fans would experience when they're trying to get on the light rail post one of those games. You're gonna have to be walking through, maybe someone's neighborhood, or you're walking, across train tracks to get to this place. It's going to be like a 15 to 20 minute walk to stand outside to get a Metro stop to hopefully get back into DC, or in my case, go back through DC to get home.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 components I kind of want to unpack here. So I shouldn't say a lot. One particular person who I hope is listening to this, and he'll probably get a smile on his face now that I said that, is worried that the move is going to affect the Baltimore fan base more than anybody. And I mean, obviously, I'm not a Caps fan. I've been to Capital One Arena, more than a dozen times in my lifetime. I still go to the games when the Pens are in town or whatever. If you look at like the directions, and again, this is just like a GPS, like, oh, how far is it from my house now to now? It's an extra 10 minutes, it looks like, which, I mean, obviously traffic patterns vary, but for me personally, I honestly think, Nick, if I don't go to like your house in, Gaithersburg and then take the train, I'm probably actually going to save time instead of driving to Greenbelt or whatever it's called, and then taking that train all the way down to Cap One, or it comes out to the same maybe. So I don't know if I agree that it's going to like affect the Baltimore fan base much. I don't think it should change too much.
I think the big factor there is anyone that's ever driven from Baltimore to DC will tell you that doing that around game time is like swallowing a bucket of bleach, nails, and glass. I mean, it is one of the most.
If it's a 7 p.m. game and you don't leave by 4, you're fucked.
Yep, big time. And getting home is not much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I'll
comment on that real quick, because I mean, growing up, my dad, for a while, he lived in DC, and then now he lives in right near actually Arlington. So I mean, it's really not very different driving from Baltimore to DC versus Baltimore to Arlington. I don't think I'd be too concerned about the Baltimore Caps fans really falling off too hard.
I just didn't see that as too much.
It's what I said, that it's like the pockets of DC that are like in the rougher and tougher spots that are like, now they're like, I'm not going to fucking Virginia for this.
Like, I can't remember. Where is Cabin John? Is that DC?
That's like near me.
It's like Montgomery, isn't that?
Like Montgomery's like 15 minutes, or Rockville is like 15 minutes for me. And then Cabin John, that's another one. It's like traffic willing, you can be there in about 20 minutes, 25. If traffic's bad, it's 45 to an hour.
Let's talk about the development part about this, though, because this is where I do think it could be really cool, because they've already said that, like, one thing that does suck is the Caps. There's nowhere that they can practice. Same with the Wizards. There's nowhere they can practice and train and like work out near where their home arena is. So they used to, for some of y'all that remember, they actually used to practice at Piney Orchard, like where like Spalding plays, if you're a Baltimore head. But now they practice at Kettler. I don't even know if it's called Kettler anymore.
MedStar,
that's right. But it would be pretty cool to have like a state-of-the-art facility where there's like, I'm saying obviously for the team, like, so this is where I get back into like, is it going to make our franchise more successful? Probably, because there's probably going to be way more players that actually want to come there when they see this facility and they see like the training and they see the area they could live in. Again, it's a nice area to live in. So from that perspective, like it's a double-sided coin for sure. I don't think it's all bad, but it feels a little bad right now from like an isolation standpoint. That's really the biggest thing for me, is I feel like we're hanging people out to dry and hanging out some of like literally the most like vulnerable like portion of Capitals fans.
Yeah, I mean, I totally echo like being a player attraction. You're going to get a brand spanking new arena. I think this is probably worth mentioning. The Capitals and I'll just use the Capitals for right now. If you look at the oldest arenas in the NHL, they are, I would say, like slightly below smack dab in the middle. So it looks like they've been there since 97.
Yep.
That's kind of like what I would, it's probably like the 16th or 17th oldest arena, just looking at this list. Some of the new places, man, I mean, they're insanely nice. If Wells Fargo, let's take that for example, where the Flyers are. I was just there recently, and then when we went to Cap One, I was like, they do feel really similar on the inside, and that's not like bashing them. It's it's very simple, clean look. But and again, I'm not trying to be biased here. You go to Pittsburgh, it's built in 2010, so it's a little older at this point. Yeah. I mean, it's a whole different feel, to be honest.
Well, coming from a guy who lives in Milwaukee, I go to Pfizer Forum all the time. Now, that's not a hockey arena, but that is a state-of-the-art NBA and concert and you name it facility. And seeing that, like, kind of makes the wheels turn in my head. Like, damn, we could have something like that or even nicer. So that's cool, obviously. But another real quick thing I want to say, just for some of the haters, some of the Caps haters out there who've been trying to use this as like a, oh, LOL, like the Caps are just as much of a poverty franchise as like
your fan base sucks. They don't
or
care.
Like the Panthers. No. Guess what? Hold on. The Coyotes and the Panthers, nobody in their area wants to let them build a stadium there. The Caps are the fucking opposite. They've got DC and Virginia tugging from both sides because they both want them there. And Virginia is literally ready to like give them this state-of-the-art facility because that's how bad they want them to come to Virginia. So all y'all can shut up. You don't understand.
I do like this by Ted in a way because it reminds me of our Lord and Savior Patrick Starr. He said we should take Cap One Arena and push it somewhere else.
LOL.
I mean, the MedStar facility is nice. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the arena will now be closer to that once it moves to Arlington.
Definitely.
So like
it would be, but also they'd probably just build in a new practice facility.
That's true.
It's
going to be sick.
If they do this right, and like Harry, have you been to Emily in Tampa?
I have been, yes.
Like you know how like the outside of like Tampa is like that giant like courtyard patio. They've got like hat tricks. It's right on the river. They've got like all those bars and stuff. If they do something like that, I'm all for it because that would be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I've been to T-Mobile. It's a pretty new one, and it's like, oh my god, if the Caps get something like that, it's going to be awesome.
I mean, the more we talk about it, the more I'm kind of like, it's gonna be sick. Like, I'm not worried about that. It's just I feel bad. Like, I feel bad for the people that actually live in DC that are like getting like the short end of the stick here.
That and like sentimentality. I'm like, I'm not ready to let go yet. Like,
it's
I'm
like
not...
moving out of your childhood home or something like that. It's like, it feels bad. Even if they're like, oh, but we have a pool at the new place or something. It's like, I don't want the pool. I want my shitty bedroom with a weird closet that smells bad or whatever. It's like, it's sentimental for sure.
If anybody needs a shoulder to cry on, you can certainly DM MVogues 20 and Ed Manila, and they'll hit you right back with some
we charge like here. Like $20 an hour.
Yeah, for sure, man. That was probably the longest segment on EB history, but that was good. That you guys had some really good points there. I enjoyed that. If you're not from Baltimore or DC or not a Caps fan, hopefully you're still with us, but if not, I guess you don't deserve to be.
Well, let's move on to some equally as blockbustering and exciting news from the Penguins.
We'll get to that in a second. Good joke, though. You'll understand that here shortly.
That's awesome.
John Tavares. Let's talk a little bit about him. He notched his 999th and 1,000th point on Long Island in the Leafs 4-3 OT loss last night. That was appointment television. That was awesome. Gets a goal and an assist. His dad's in the crowd. The crowd booed the shit out of him the whole time.
And then we had appointment Twitter with Biz and Borelli and all the fucking drama that ensued. That was, I was just sitting on Twitter, just eating popcorn. Just, oh my God, this is so good.
So I got to ask you, do you respect or do you hate that the Islanders fans booed the shit out of him?
This is
in his 1,000th point.
This is a great question for debate. And honestly, I'm not even sure what side I'm on. I can really see both sides of the argument. I think if you made me step over the line to one direction or the other. If I'm really trying to be logical about this, it is a little bit dumb that they're that like butthurt about it. But
like still that butthurt about it.
Yes, exactly. But when I get what Biz said, it's like this is a guy who gave his left nut for the organization when he was there and all the yada yada yada, whatever you want to say. However,
Yes.
when we talk about the Islanders and the Leafs, I think there's one of those organizations that to me is way more of a poverty organization with funnier peril and funnier misfortune, and that is the Toronto Maple Leafs. And it's just more fun to make fun of them in this situation, I think.
I think like both of those franchises should not be throwing stones because both of them live in glass houses right now.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I respect it, and I'll tell you why. Don't hate John Tavares. I used to. I don't now. I respect him too, but they've been getting this. They've been doing this for what, 4 or 5 seasons now, and every time it's a story. Like it's like, oh shit, like Tavares is on Long Island, he's gonna get killed, and it's like I love that that's a thing because it's entertaining and it gives us something to talk about, and also like. You gotta be a pretty big asshole to boo your ex-captain on their 1000th point, and they just wore it. And I was
the
like,
majority
you know
of which came with your franchise. Like,
I was like, you know what? Like, honestly, good for you. Like, you committed to it. You stand with it. It's fun at this point, for me at least. As someone,
did you guys see the interaction on Twitter between Wyshynski and former Leaf Kolyakovo?
Yeah. No, what happened?
That was really good. Kolyakovo was saying like some of the biz stuff, being like how unclassy and how lame do you have to be to not? He's like he said like I get the booing, but the fact that they couldn't even put that aside during the 1000th point to be like, you know, like. That's a really good accomplishment or whatever.
Point.
And Wyshynski came at him and was like, I think literally he was like, I think you're kind of missing the point, bro. Like if they're that hell bent on booing him, what in the world makes you think that he's gonna put it aside to go, oh, but good job, that's really impressive? Like,
yeah, right.
No, it's
because that's totally something that New Yorkers
all
would
the way
do.
Down on the gas pedal. It's like you're not gonna like just let up for a second and be like, oh, but that is pretty cool, good for you. Okay, back to booing next time you hear it. No, it's all in or nothing. And I do kind of respect it.
It's like a UFC fighter going, oh, are you good? And then continuing to punch the guy in the face.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I can think of 2 regular season games now where Tavares has come back to Long Island, and they've been incredible hockey games. And it feels like a playoff game, and I like that. And you know what? Like, if I was an Islanders fan, I'd probably fucking hate him too. I'm just being honest. I don't really blame you. Like, and that's from a fan, right? Obviously, players like he gave his, but it's the fans, man. It's different. I'm sorry. Like.
And Harry, I think you make a great point. Like the games are usually very exciting and watchable. And I'm sorry, Dean, and I'm sorry, Comps, but like it's the loudest I've heard that building all year was when John Tavares was there. And I think it's the most excitement that Islanders fans have had all season.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though somehow they're like 3rd in the Metro now. Which
also, that game-winning goal was sick. That pass from Barzal and the fucking rip by Horvat, that was...
Barzal played out of his mind last night.
Also kind of funny to me just seeing Samsonov just laying on the ice after it and being like, oh, fuck.
Did he drop his stick when he did that? Yeah.
Surprisingly, no.
The big blockbuster news that Nick was talking about earlier, the Pittsburgh Penguins have signed forward Jesse Puljujarvi to a professional tryout. 16 points through 75 games last year.
Power play fixed.
Let's see what that does.
I will say this.
You know what?
I will say this, Harry. I'm going to come to your rescue here. If there was one franchise in the NHL that could suck talent out of this player, it's the Pittsburgh Penguins.
That's probably true. Suck talent out, like in a good way.
Like get talent out of him in a good way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to talk about the Penguins.
Why didn't Lars Eller play? Is he like hurt or is he just like sick or something?
To be honest, I don't know. I was kind of MIA in their last game. It's been hard for me to catch their games recently. I've been doing a lot of highlights, but yeah, it's a depressing time in Pittsburgh. I really don't want to bend everybody's ear about it. We already had our cap segment,
You're
the Penn
kind
segment
of
with
due
boys.
to have one of those, so
Yeah,
I don't
wait a
really
minute.
want
We
to
had
hear.
it last year.
Hold on. Who's that guy
Oh.
you were telling me about that I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And you were like, he's actually our best player or some shit like that. And
I can't say his name. It's another Finnish
Putin
guy.
or not Putin.
No, Putin. No, not Putin. He's not Finnish.
What the fuck was
Putavinen?
Putavainen?
He had an assist last game. He's probably one of our best offensive prospects. That's not saying much. Yeah, we can move on from the side. We don't really have to talk about this team.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. Yeah. All right. Well, the Islanders, they acquired Robbie Bortuzzo from the Blues for a 7th-round pick, former Penguin.
Puustinen.
What did I say?
Is it-
Putivinen?
Putavin or something. He's Valtteri Puustinen. It's like post and in.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, posting in. That about does it for the new segment, to be honest, ladies and gents. But we got a jam-packed discussion segment coming at you here. But before we get to that, I think Nick has a word from Kane Footwear.
Absolutely, guys. The holiday season is upon us. I know Hanukkah is in full swing. I know we got Christmas and New Year's coming up here. There's plenty of other holidays I'm sure I'm forgetting around this time, but sorry. Anyways, go get yourself a pair of Canes. You're going to need them after all the stupid holiday family events and crap you're going to have to do. If you're going to be like me and procrastinate your shopping till the last minute, you're probably going to have to sprint through the mall at some point, which means your knees and your back are going to be fucked. So go ahead and get yourself a pair of Kane Revives made with bounce back foam using sugarcane technology. They're good for you, good for the environment, great for recovery. Head to the link in our bio today.
All righty. Well, in typical EB fashion, we got two teams in our discussion segment who feel like they've been in here every episode, but we'll start it off with the Detroit Red Wings. We've had a lot go on since the Patty Kane acquisition. Some incidents and suspensions. Dylan Larkin. Not sure if you guys saw the Wings versus Senators game this past week, but that game got a little bit bonkers. He was actually hit, or I should say punched, in the back of the head by Joseph on the Senators and fell into another Sens player. He was knocked out and motionless on the ice for several moments before being helped off with a stretcher. Per Wings coach, he is expected
Without a
to
stretcher.
be out. Without a stretcher, sorry.
No stretcher. Yeah.
Eyes are bad right now. Wings coach said he's going to be out at least a week. And then as a result of that, David Perron retaliated later in the game by cross-checking Senators defenseman Artem Zub in the face and has been suspended 6 games. Welcome to the I Bet the Oilers fantasy team. The Red Wings also have not won a game since Patrick Kane joined the team.
Couple things here. So, first of all, didn't Perron retaliate like right away? Wasn't that like didn't he do that like right away, or am I messing that up?
It was fairly quickly after, if I remember correct.
Like Larkin was like laying on the ice right there, and then he did it. I thought no.
I'd
can't
have
to watch it again
Okay, whatever.
because that was
Beside
like
the point.
3 days ago, which is 2
Right,
weeks in
3
my
or
brain.
4.
Yeah. Besides the point, doesn't matter. Pretty sure that what I just said is correct. Either way, my one thing I'll say about it, Perron, you got to do something for sure. You got to do something when your captain's laying on the ice motionless. Got the wrong guy, so not great. Also, don't cross-check him in the head. Just drop the gloves and like beat him up. That's like classic Perron thing though, to not fight and like just sucker punch a guy with your stick. Besides the point though, I mean, 6 games, do you guys think that's too long? Not long enough? Just
I
right?
heard that was the longest, like, or the heaviest suspension since Marchand's high sticking thing that obviously isn't related to like PEDs or gambling, like so on ice stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I feel about 6 games. I would have been fine with like 3 or 4.
I think 3 would have been fine. Also worth noting, a lot of people don't think this should matter. I kind of do think it should matter. Zub was not injured whatsoever by this cross check to the head. He played the next shift. He didn't leave the game. No blood, no missing teeth. Yes, he got cross checked in the head. Yes, I understand that the whole like review process, they were like, but there was intent to injure, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, there was intent to injure because he was pissed that his captain was like dead on the ground. I get that. Either way, 6 feels like excessive. I don't even know if Dave Perron's ever been suspended.
So he has played 1,100 NHL games. He has never been suspended.
Yeah. So to me,
Wow.
that's bullshit. And
So
I
his
know
first sussy is 6.
what's crazy is that's actually shocking to me because Perron is kind of a little fucker. Like
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked he's never been suspended because he definitely has had some cheap shots in his career. But yeah, if he's never been suspended, that's kind of crazy. 6 games.
6 games is nuts.
It wasn't like it was like a baseball swing to the head or something. Like
no.
it was like he got his hands up. Yeah, and it's like definitely a suspension, but like 3 games to me max.
Like if I had seen
agree.
1 or 2, I'd have been like, okay.
Right.
That game was pretty crazy. Yeah, I'd say 3. I know. I think he's on Twitter a lot. Alan Walsh. I think he represents Fleury as an agent. He had a couple comparisons where
he
like
represents
Matthews
Perron too, which is why he was saying that.
Yeah, like Matthews and Darlene, like in that outdoor game last year, legitimately like knocked each other's teeth out, and it was like 2 games.
Yeah,
it's like, well, why is I don't know, but
I was a little bit, I know that there's speculation over, why wasn't Joseph suspended? He punched him in the back of the head. I know people were saying, oh, well, then he fell into someone else, and that's why he was motionless. I just feel so fucking bad for Dylan Larkin at this point. Like the guy was he was having such an amazing year. This is a guy that I've been saying for like 2 years is underrated, was finally having what I thought was going to be a career year. And then this happens.
To me, it was such a weird, it looked like a freak play. I watched it like 5 times. I could not figure out how he got knocked out from
Same.
It didn't look bad to me at all. I barely even saw the punch to the head. Like it's a weird play in front of the net if you haven't seen it. And he just, like I said, I watched it like 7 times. I don't understand how he ends up unconscious.
Yep.
This team is in our discussion portion every week because they are so up and down this year. It's wild. They started out so hot, then they got cold. Then our fellow listener, TJ, was like, nah, they're fine. Then they get hot. Then they get Kane. Now they've lost 3 in a row. It's like, I don't get this team. And the reason I don't get this team is the goaltending. I mean, they got a carousel over there right now. They got Lyon, who looks like he's been good.
They've got like 3 guys. Why the fuck do they have? Because to my knowledge, I don't even think that was the result of like an injury or something like that. I think they literally just have Lyon, Reimer, and Husso. And they're just like, we just have these 3 guys right now. And like none of them are really like sick or anything.
That's my fantasy hockey goalie situation right now. So I mean, I kind of get it.
Like it's almost like a fucking fantasy carousel. They're like every night they're like, okay, you. I don't know. No, okay, you.
It's like the scene from Step Brothers where it's like investors, it's goaltenders, possibly you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
just from what I've seen on Red Wings Twitter, and we'll end this topic with this. This guy broke down the 3 goalies for the Wings, and I thought it was pretty funny. It was Lyon, should be number 1, Reimer, ass, Husso, kind of ass. And
that's accurate as fuck. That is super accurate.
Got a little kick out of that. But some other incidents around the league, boys, we're gonna definitely have to touch on this one. I've got coworkers asking me about this who don't even watch hockey. That's when you know it's big. The Gudbranson Cousins incident. Cousins sent Gudbranson awkwardly into the boards. The hit was initially called a match penalty, but was reduced to a 2-minute minor for boarding. Gudbranson went after Cousins not only right after that, but later in the game as well. He basically tackled him to the ground and beat the fucking wheels off of him and received the game misconduct and has been given a 1-game suspension by the league. What do we think here?
That's what Perron should have done.
Yes. Also, I love this shit so much. First of all, Nick Cousins is a bitch. That guy sucks. He's a loser. That was just a gutless hit. Also, I don't understand how that gets reduced to 2 minutes. That was a shitty hit. He knew it right away. Also, after he lays the hit, someone else on the Jackets goes after him and he just turtles on the ice.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my God. He does this stupid fucking thing where he's like, "Oh, I'm the victim," and he lays on the ground like he's the one who's hurt. He did the same thing when Gudbranson finally gets him too, and it just I absolutely love Gudbranson coming back later on in the game and being like, "No, you're not going to answer to someone else. You're going to answer to me because you did this to me." And I know you're a little softy and I'm going to come after you and beat the shit out of you. And he did the same thing. He laid like 1 punch on him and Cousins hits the deck and is playing like he's a fucking corpse on the ice. And it's just, it's soft as hell, man. I have no respect for that shit. And I got all the respect in the world for Gudbranson.
Could not agree more. I think if you're gonna like, the whole fuck around and find out thing, it's like if you're gonna fuck around, you gotta answer the bell. And when you do, answer it. Don't turtle like a little baby and pray that the ref gets there before he can get 3 or 4 good ones in you. And he did get like 5 or 6 good ones.
Oh, it was bad. He was like fully like beating the shit out of him. And I love that the NHL gives him 1 game because they know deep down they're like, dude deserved it, but we have to give this guy something. Because he literally was like out there like a thug, just beating the shit out of him. So, oh man, that's good stuff.
I don't have too much more to add there. I really do echo everything you guys say. You got to answer the bell there, but yeah, that was a wild situation. Made its way around the internet for sure.
Yep.
Couple more injuries. I know we just talked about Larkin, but another major American superstar here. Unfortunate news. Kyle Connor left his game against Anaheim after a knee-on-knee collision with the Ducks forward Ryan Strome. Strome was assessed a 5-minute major penalty for kneeing and given a game misconduct after officials reviewed the play. DOPS said that Strome will not face any additional discipline, and Kyle Connor is expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks with a knee injury.
That's terrible. Super bad news. If you have Kyle Connor on your fantasy team, my thoughts go out to you. This might be a really hot take. I think that like 8 or 9 times out of 10, knee collisions like this one are like completely in like just accidental and like a freak accident. I think it's super fucking rare that somebody tries to like hit someone knee on knee because you're risking you could blow your own knee out.
Exactly.
And if you look at the play, I mean, yeah, you kind of have to toss him out. It was not a good hit. It's directly knee on knee. I get it. You have to review it and you probably have to toss him out. I think it's the right call. No further discipline after that, because like I said, I really don't think Stromer was out there like trying to like blow this guy's knee out or something. Like, I don't know. It's just a weird play. They collided at the wrong spot.
Really sucky for Winnipeg right now. They're actually 3rd in the Central Division, been playing well so far this season, 7-3 in their last 10. And obviously Kyle Connor, their best player, best goal scorer, guy who's in the race for the Rocket Richard this season. And they've got Nashville and Arizona coming right at them, and they're right behind them. And both those teams have been hot lately. So we'll see what happens with Winnipeg.
Mac, I think you nailed it. I mean, in this day and age with how fast the NHL is now, even compared to 5 or 10 years ago, I don't think, like you said, guys are going knee on knee intentionally. This isn't Ulf Samuelsson, Cam Neely back in the 80s or 90s, because like you said, guys are going to blow their own knee through the back of their kneecap. So it's not intentional, I don't think.
All right. Well, this team, we got to talk about them. We talk about them every week, just like the Wings. And here we go again. Speaking of an up and down season, the Edmonton Oilers, I would like to formally propose the question, are they back? Before you two answer that, let's get some stats here. Stuart was dead. He was deceased this season. And then we saw him live at Capital One Arena, where he posted a shutout of the Washington Capitals. And since that game, he is 6-0 with a .931 save percentage and a 1.82 GAA in his last 6 games. The Oilers have won 7 in a row since November 24th. They are leading the league in power play percentage, goals against, and goals for in the NHL. They're basically puck line covering every game at this point. Are the Oilers back?
Are you asking us or are you asking yourself so you can bet
That's
on them?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm banned from betting for like a week because I've been so bad. Sorry, Twitter fans, but
I don't know if I'm going to say they're back. I think this is just going to be how this team is going to be for the foreseeable future. I think it's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster. They're going to have ups, they're going to have downs, and they're just going to have to manage it as best they can. Now, if they can put together streaks like this after they drop 2 or 3 games, that's great. If they put together streaks like this after they lose 5 or 6 games, it's not going to go very well.
Right. Also, worth noting, in those 7 games that they're 7-0 in, opponents: Devils, Wild, Hurricanes, Jets, Golden Knights, Ducks, Capitals. I think that's in backwards order that I just read it. But nonetheless, if I'm looking at that, 3, maybe 4 playoff teams in that bunch. Do with that what you will. I'm just saying.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, about 4, I'd say. I mean, here's the thing. Like, McDavid's on a completely different planet in the last 7 games. We were all like, what's going on with him? He's going to win the Art Ross. Anyone who doesn't think that is crazy. If he doesn't get hurt, I think Kucherov has 12 points on him. He's going to win it. I have no doubt. That's the most for sure lock, probably good value right now, to be honest, as I'm saying this. Are the Oilers back? I'm not going to say yes just yet. And when
TBD next week, we'll see.
Well, I
We'll see
think
where they're at
what
next week.
the biggest indicator is what you read earlier is Stuart Skinner was stopping the puck. And that is why that team won. I mean, obviously they were playing well in front of him too, but like that, I think is the difference maker right there. If he can continue to play like that, that team's back. If he's going to continue to struggle, oh boy.
You want to know who's actually been playing really well? We talk about Oilers. We always say goalies, McDavid, Draisaitl. Yes, I get that. Evander Kane's bringing it right now. He looks really good. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I know just based off seeing what I've read on Twitter, and I know I checked the stats yesterday. He's been balling for the last like 6 or 7 games. He looks really good for them. What does back mean for the Oilers? I don't know. Like, I do think they will make the playoffs, but I'm still shaky. I don't know. The coaching change, it does have the writing for like the championship DVD though. Like, fire Woodcroft, everybody's in panic mode. And then all of a sudden they just go on an absolute heater. And it's like, oh, wow, we were the guys in November who wrote them off.
Yeah, I'm deferring the question of are the Oilers back to next week. We'll see where they're at in 7 days.
We'll go ahead and table that one. So like, is anything less than a second round like berth for them a failure? Like making the playoffs is fine, but if they lose in the first, that's a failure, right? We're all
right now. I think they're literally at cup or bust. Like it's literally at that point. Like there's no like small victories at this point.
No, it is 1000% cup or bust. I mean, what if the Oilers win? No, I'm not gonna do it. All right.
Next.
Nick, I know you have an NHL app rant. You want to skip to that here?
Yeah, absolutely. So we all know the NHL app sucks. You guys know I'm a big soccer fan. So one of the apps I use is called FOTMob. Shout out to our buddy Jake Fennicle. He actually turned me onto this, I would say about 1.5 years ago. So it's FOTMOB. It's a soccer app that, if you're not familiar, soccer is a global sport. It's kind of played all across the fucking globe. So this app has every professional soccer league in essentially every country that has internet, like dozens and thousands and hundreds of teams in there, no matter which one you follow, lineups an hour and a half ahead of time, highlights 20 minutes after the game is done before it's up on the website. My favorite feature with this app, and you gambling heads will love this, the standings are live. So when teams are in play, they're highlighted in green. And if they're winning in that game, those points are reflected in the standings. For soccer, that's huge. I think, like, NHL, what are you doing? Wake up. Like, I don't care if you have to buy this company to do it. Just do it. Like, I don't understand how that app can be so bad. I literally use it for one thing right now, and that is to see what network the games are on. And that too, the intermission clock is the only other good thing.
That's what I use it for.
Yeah, they've got to do something about it because it is terrible. It is like, I'll get the news from Twitter. I'll get the news from the Score. Sometimes I'll even use the TSN app. And then 25 minutes later, a misspelled wrong headline or a wrong goal scorer will show up on my phone from the NHL app. It's just absolutely crap.
Even the Score has been a little weird for me lately, which, I hate that I had to download that because the app is so bad. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. It never refreshes.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really notify you on time, kind of like you just said. I know this has been a topic of conversation amongst NHL fans all year. I don't know if they should just revert back, like undo the update.
Well, they even like fucked up their website too. Like, I don't know if you guys have looked at the standings tab on the NHL website. You used to be able to sort by like home record, road record, last 10, point differential. You can't do any of that anymore.
Dude, half the time I try to go to just like, and I'll look up every week for Memory Bank Monday. I look up, like this week, I looked up Ty Conklin, and I'm trying to look at his like NHL like career numbers, and I always first try to go to NHL.com, and without fail it's always like, oh, there was an error.
Yep.
We don't know. I don't know. And so I have to go to like Hockey DB or something, which is fine.
That's
Like
sad.
that's even better. But yeah, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Anyway.
It's bad.
A couple injuries here. We'll get to gambling trivia and then get you all out of here. The Blue Jackets, Captain Boone Jenner is going to miss 6 weeks with a broken jaw. That sounds extremely painful. And Minnesota will be without Jonas Brodin for a significant period of time due to injury. Keep in mind the Wild have already played without Jared Spurgeon for the first month of this year.
So I guess you could say that Boone Jenner is in his soup era.
Big time soup season.
Hell yeah.
Is that the first thought of broken jaw to you?
Yeah. I mean, I was just like, damn, soup time.
Soup.
Not going to be eating solids for a while, bud.
Soup and I hope you like soup and smoothies.
Yep.
Yeah, for real. All right, a couple gambling tidbits here brought to you by our friend Prop Tracker. Prop Tracker is your home for player prop research and finding outlier bets for NHL, NBA, NFL, and more. Once you find a bet you like, start tracking it to get notified on its progress, like shots, rebounds, or receptions. Go to proptrackerapp.com/emptybetters to try a free month of the Android or iOS app. Again, Tracker does not have the letter E in it, so it is just proptrackerapp.com/emptybetters. It's hard to read letters these days, fellas, for me. I don't know why.
I feel that.
All right, Sam Reinhart. Let's talk about him. He's on pace for 112 points this season. Should he do that, that will be the second best point season in Panthers history behind Jonathan Huberdeau, who just did it a few years ago. Keep an eye out on all the Reinhart props. You can actually get him at good value. He's not that big name like McDavid or Matthews. You can find him to get anytime goal scorer points. He's a great value lately, and he's been on fire. So have the Cats. Maple Leafs. This is crazy. I can't believe this stat is actually real. They've played 25 games this year. 12 of them have gone to overtime.
That's actually insane.
How?
That's so fucking crazy.
They are in the midst of playing their 26th game against the New York Rangers as we're recording this, and it's a 1-goal game, and they were up 4-1, and now it's 4-3. Let's see if another one here goes to OT. But I tell you that because for any of you who don't know, you can bet NHL games to go to overtime, and you'll usually get plus 300 to plus 400 in that range. It's a really good bet. It's called a draw. You can find it under the three-way section. Get your dirty mind out of the gutter.
Real EB fans know Margarita Mac.
Yep.
Enough said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Leafs to go to OT, been a great bet. How about the LA Kings on the road? They are 11-1-1 on the road this season. I would say that, knowing that road teams usually get a little bit of brownie points in terms of bang for your buck, definitely be looking at the Kings. Maybe if they're playing a good team, you take them on the road. That's a good choice.
Or if they're coming east sometime soon and doing a little east swing, spread it out across 3 games, you're probably going to do okay.
And then I'll call this one the overs and Orcas. I love that. Maybe I'll throw a little puck line in there too. The Canucks have the most goals for this season at 107. They also have the best goal differential at plus 34. You guys already know the Canucks have been humming this season. Cooled down on here a little bit lately, but a lot of their games are high scoring, as you guys know. So definitely keep a lookout for that. I'm just going to read a couple. I do this every week. The best over 6.5 teams. I'll just read you the top 5. Number 1, Canucks. Duh. We just said that. The Jersey Devils, number 2. That little Hughes brother game. I know the over-under was at 7, and it was a 6-5 finish, so that did not disappoint. And then Columbus, Calgary, and Edmonton round out the top 5. Those Columbus games, fellas, keep an eye out for that. That was our good friend Elio, Mr. Ice, made all of his money the last 2 years on the Columbus Blue Jackets. He always says it's one of his favorite teams to bet the over on, so keep an eye on them. We're going to move on to trivia to get us out of here. Mac, I'll toss it off to you.
All right, I'm a big fan of this one. We'll get right into it. So 14 years ago today, fellas, on December 12th, 2009, this player snapped his 16-game goal drought in grand fashion by scoring a hat trick in his team's 4-2 victory against the Carolina Hurricanes. The 3 goals he scored gave him 400 for his career, and he became the 82nd 400 goal scorer in the NHL and just the fourth born Russian player to score 400. Now, I'll give you the first hint I'll give you, if necessary, will be the team he plays for, but let's see where we can get with that.
So in 2009, a Russian player scored his 400th goal in a hat-trick game against the Carolina Hurricanes.
Snapping a 16-game goalless streak.
Yep.
A streaky Russian, perhaps.
And at the time, he was only the fourth Russian-born player to score 400.
Okay, this is before the Ovi Malkin thing, so obviously you got to think a little older Russian. All right, I'll give it a guess. I don't think this is right, but we'll see. Let's go Alex Kovalev.
Bingo.
Oh, bang.
Little AK-27
Atta
for the
boy,
boys.
let's go. Just knocked it down.
Nice.
Was he?
I love it.
He wasn't on the Penguins that year, was he?
Habs,
he was
right?
he was on the Sens.
Oh,
On the
Sens.
Senators. Well, I was thinking, I was like, Yashin or Kovalev. Yeah, wow.
I was going to say Kovalchuk.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Kovalev, bang. Is that
Yeah,
the first
nicely
ever
done.
one and done?
It might be. We'll leave it at that. I'll read it all the way through real quick, and then we'll get out of here. On December 12th, 2009, Alex Kovalev snapped his 16-game goal drought in grand fashion by scoring a hat trick against the Ottawa Senators 4-2 victory against the Carolina Hurricanes. The 3 goals gave him 400 for his career, and he became the 82nd 400 goal scorer in NHL history and just the fourth born Russian player to do so.
I still think that it doesn't get talked enough about how nasty that dude was with the puck on his stick. Like when he wanted to be, he was the most dangerous player in the world.
The reason I like this one so much is because he falls right in with like the Memory Bank Monday post. Which, by the way, if you don't follow us on Instagram, you should. Every Monday I post a player from the past, somebody that was elite in their time in the NHL, but has since kind of not been talked about since their retirement. So follow us on IG.
IG, Twitter, like and subscribe on the YouTube page. We're very close to 100 subscribers on YouTube. So if anyone wants to throw a sub over our way, that would be greatly appreciated.
Preferably from Jersey Mike's.
With a little oil and vinegar.
The juice.
Any final notes before we're out of here?
Can't wait to watch the Virginia Capitals play ice hockey.
Dude, that was good. Link in bio for any merch. Kane Footwear. Go buy, help support us, help us pay the bills, please. We need it.
New merch is up. Go ahead and get it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you, everybody, for the love and support. As always, we'll get back to you next week. And without further ado,
Class dismissed.